Hello students, how are you? In the previous video we have completed the chapter reproduction in the plants, and in this video we will be discussing the exercise questions of that chapter. Okay, so let's start. Question number 1, fill in the blanks. Production of new individuals from the vegetative part of the parent is called. Now I told you there are two types of part, one is vegetative and another is reproductive part, that is flower. Whenever there is reproductive part involved, that is sexual reproduction, and other than that it is vegetative propagation. Okay, so production of new individual from the vegetative part of parent is called vegetative propagation. B, a flower may have either male or female reproductive parts. Such a flower is called unisexual, means only one of them is present, either male or female. Okay, not both. If both, then it is said to be bisexual. So a flower may have either male or female reproductive parts, and such a flower is called unisexual. C, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same or of another flower of the same kind is known as, again, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same or of another flower of the same kind is known as pollination. Okay, it is not asking whether self or cross because it has compiled both one. It is saying from same or to different. So it is not asking about that whether it is self or cross pollination. It is just asking about pollination. D, the fusion of male and female gametes is termed as fertilization. I hope already you know. E, seed dispersal takes place by the means of dash, dash and dash, wind, water and animals. These are the methods due to which seed dispersal takes place. Okay, so what are the answer? For the first one, it is vegetative propagation, production of new individual from vegetative part. B, a flower may have either male or female reproductive part. Such a flower is called unisexual. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same or of another flower of same kind is known as pollination. Fusion of male and female gamete is termed as fertilization. Seed dispersal takes place by the means of wind, water and animals. Next question, question number 2. Describe the different methods of asexual reproduction and give examples. Different methods of asexual reproduction are: first, vegetative propagation. It is a type of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from root, stems, leaves and buds, since reproduction is through the vegetative part of the plant. Next is budding. In this process, a new individual from a bulb-like projection bud grows and gets detached from parent to form a new individual, and it is mostly observed in yeast. So the example of budding is yeast. Spore formation. Spores are the asexual reproductive bodies. A spore is covered by a hard protective coat to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature and low humidity, so they can survive for a long time. Under favorable conditions, a spore germinates and develops into a new individual. Fungi on bread and plants such as moss and ferns reproduce through spores. Fragmentation. In this process, a new organism is developed from the fragments of the parent body. Example, an alga breaks up into two or more fragments, and these fragments or pieces grow into new individuals. And the algae, that can be Spirogyra. Clear? Different types of asexual reproduction: vegetative propagation, budding, spore formation, fragmentation. So let's move on to the next question now. Question number 3. Explain what you understand by sexual reproduction. It is the mode of reproduction in which male and female gametes fuse together to form a zygote, and the zygote gradually divides to form a new organism. Okay, it is the mode of reproduction in which male and female gamete fuse together to form a zygote. The zygote gradually divides to form a new organism. Question number 4. State the main difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. In this process, two parents are involved, and asexual reproduction, in this process, a single parent is involved. Now you all know that for sexual reproduction you need a male gamete as well as a female gamete, so definitely two parents are involved. But whereas in asexual reproduction, because the reproduction takes place through different parts like roots, stems and leaves, so you do not require two parents, you only require a single parent. Sexual reproduction involves the fusion of male and female gametes, and asexual reproduction, plants can give rise to new plants without seeds. So this is the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. In sexual, in this process two parents are involved, and asexual, a single parent is involved. Sexual reproduction involves the fusion of male and female gametes, and asexual reproduction, plants can give rise to new plants without seeds, that is without fusion. Next question. Sketch the reproductive parts of a flower. Now you all know what are the reproductive part of the flower. For the male it will be anther, and for the female part it will be pistil. Okay, so the diagram is being given in the NCERT, you can draw it from there. Clear? Question number 5. Sketch the reproductive parts of the flower. In male the anther and the female pistil. So you can draw the diagram from the NCERT. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Explain the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination. In self-pollination, pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of the same flower. Cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, pollen grains are transferred from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of the same kind. Okay, whenever the pollen grains will be transferred to another flower, that will be cross pollination, and if the pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma of same flower, it is self pollination. Let's move on to the next question. How does the process of fertilization takes place in flowers? The answer is, as soon as pollen lands on the stigma, it germinates and yields a pollen tube that passes through the style and enters the ovary of a pistil. As the pollen tube enters an ovule, it releases the male gamete. The male gamete fuses with a female gamete in the ovule by a process known as fertilization. The cell formed after the fusion of a female and a male gamete, this terms as zygote. This zygote splits numerous times, forms and the embryo present inside the seed. In this way, the process of fertilization takes place in the flowers. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Describe the various ways by which seeds are dispersed. Answer. Seed dispersal is aided by wind, water and animals. These are also dispersed when fruits burst with sudden jerks. First, by wind. Seeds and fruits of plants are carried away by the wind, water and animals. Now, winged seeds such as those of drumstick and maple, light seeds of grasses or hairy seeds of ack, that is madar, and hairy fruit of the sunflower get blown off with the wind to far away places. Okay, so these are the examples. Next, by water. Seeds of aquatic plants or plants near water bodies usually develop floating ability in the form of spongy or fibrous outer coat, as in coconut, and get dispersed by water. Third, by animals. Spiny seeds with hooks which get attached to the bodies of animals are carried to distant places. Dispersion of seeds by bursting of fruits. Some seeds are dispersed when the fruits burst with sudden jerks. These seeds are scattered far from the parent plant. This happens in the case of castor and balsam. Okay, so these are the various ways by which the seed are dispersed: by wind, by water, animals, and bursting of fruits. Wind, it happens in the maple. In water, by water, it is in the aquatic plants, that is, or sometimes coconut. By animals, spiny seeds. And by bursting of fruits in castor and balsam. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Question number 9. Match the following. In column 1, bud, eyes, fragmentation, wings, spores. In column 2, examples are given: maple, spirogyra, yeast, bread mold, potato, and rose. Okay, so let's discuss. Bud, it will be matched with yeast, because you know yeast is an example of budding, asexual reproduction. Next, eyes. You all know their eyes are there in potato when we are discussing about vegetative propagation. Third is fragmentation. Fragmentation occurs in spirogyra, because spirogyra is an alga. D, wings. Wings, that is wing seeds, or you can say the seed dispersal by the wind, it occurs in maple. And E, spores. It will be matched with bread mold. Why? Because bread mold is a fungi. Okay, so column 1, that is bud matched with yeast, eyes matched with potato, fragmentation with spirogyra, wings with maple, and spores with bread mold. Question number 10th. Take the correct answer. A part. The reproductive part of a plant is leaf, stem, root, flower. The question says reproductive part of the plant: leaf, stem, root, flower. I hope you already know. The answer is flower. So option 4 is correct. Next question. B. The process of fusion of the male and female gametes is called fertilization, pollination, reproduction, and seed formation. Fertilization, pollination, reproduction, and seed formation. Can you tell what is the process of fusion of male and female gamete called? The answer is fertilization. Option first. C. Mature ovary forms the seed, stamen, pistil, fruit. Mature ovary. Read the question very carefully. It is saying mature ovary forms the seed, stamen, pistil, fruit. The answer will be fruit. Okay, because ovule forms the seed. D. A spore producing organism is rose, bread mold, potato, ginger. A spore producing organism is rose, bread mold, potato, ginger. Answer is bread mold because it is a fungi. E. Bryophyllum can reproduce by its stem, leaves, roots, flower. Bryophyllum can reproduce by its stem, leaves, roots, flower. The answer will be leaves. So the option 2 is correct. Okay students, so this concludes the exercise of this chapter, and also the chapter is completed. Make the notes of the chapter properly, complete the exercise. Okay, take care of yourselves and have a nice day. Thank you.